I
live.
think we should be live. Let's double check it. We get the notifications. Oh, there it is.
All right.
All about hackathons.
Sounds like we're live.
Okay, perfect.
Intros?
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to ETHFan here at Decontrol. We host every Thursday. A couple of new faces tonight. You've been here before, though, haven't you? First time here as well. Okay.
Welcome.
Well, thank you. And your first time here as well. So amazing. Glad to have two new ones in the middle of summer. Hot crypto summer. Okay. We've got a few things coming up soon. One in particular is, so it's Ethereum's birthday real soon. So it's Ethereum's birthday on, who knows what day Ethereum's birthday is? Which day is Ethereum's birthday? The 30th. Nice. So yes, it's Wednesday, July 30th. So it won't be Thursday. It's going to be a Wednesday, but we are going to have a little soiree of sorts. So we're not sure if it's going to be here. Does sound like we're looking to do it at potentially Flow, at the Flow headquarters, which is over in Emily Carr, or maybe the Layer Zero office, which is downtown here, or potentially the Permanent. We're kind of looking at a few different places, so we'll keep you all posted on that, but heads up for it. I believe there will be cake. I will ensure that there will be cake. You know, we've done that religiously over the past couple of years, so we'll do that. And then, yeah, we'll see what else happens. But yeah, just keep that on your schedules for July 30th. Happy birthday, Ethereum. Thanks, Vitalik. Yeah. And then, are you doing jam nights?
That's right. Every other Tuesday is Basement Jam. We meet here. If you play an instrument, all are welcome. We currently have like 2 guitar players, and I play the piano. So every other Tuesday, we're meeting this upcoming Tuesday. Come join us, 7 o'clock.
Perfect. I think there's an Akash meetup tonight or something. Does anybody know anything about that one?
There's scarves on that rack. By the way, hey, you new people, that rack, it's free stuff. So
good point.
Go help yourself. Free swag.
Yeah, we go out to all the conferences and things. Oh, look, he's already got a hat. Look at he knows what's up. Yeah, so please help yourself with any of those things on the rack. Yeah, and then we do have the. We good? Oh, and then yeah, some hats and stuff. And there's also stickers. So help yourself to stickers. So we just go and hoard at conferences and then bring it back and share with the people.
Decentralizing.
So, yeah, decentralizing the swag.
Love it.
All right. Well, yeah. If you got if you haven't joined our Twitter, socials, all these things, so Decontrol Van and then ETH Vancouver on X. That's the best place to kind of keep track of things. That's where we're trying to post regular things. If you haven't followed those, and then we have a Discord as well. If you want, you can scan those QR codes and get into it. Yeah, and we'll keep you posted on all the things happening as we move along here. But we are every second week, so we won't be here next week. But there will be, July 30th. We're planning for that. Okay, Andrew, I'll just let you take it over. Here you go.
Sweet.
Go get it.
Thank you, Tango. Well, hey everyone, welcome to my talk. Thank you, everyone here in person. And if there's anyone on stream, thank you for watching. Today, you're going to learn all about hackathons. So a bit quick introduction. My name is Andrew. You can find me as Ori online. Used to be a software engineer at Microsoft, worked on auth identity UX in Windows for 7 years. Great time. I left Microsoft in 2022 and got into the Web3 space where I've been since. Started off building some DeFi protocols during DeFi summer, Phantom blockchain, kind of yield farming, Tomb finance side of things. I was CTO for Axelos NFT. They were the first animated PFP NFT project on Ethereum L1. You can see the little guy bobbing his head over there. And now I am the co-founder of Hyperliquid Names, a Web3 name service on the Hyperliquid blockchain. You can find me on Twitter, _wagme, and Discord. Feel free to reach out. So, hackathons, right? Why are you listening to me talk about it? Why am I so passionate? So let me just kind of share with you my journey through hackathons. Started off in college. I went to Penn State University. I studied computer science. And as any good college kid, I was looking for opportunities for free food. I love free food. So when I learned about hackathons, these places you can go and you get free food and free swag, and it's kind of studies related as a CS major. Yeah, fantastic. So my first major I went to was Boilermake. This is the largest hackathon at Purdue University. they like put us on a bus and like shipped us out over a weekend. It was like a 72-hour hackathon. I remember like staying out for 72 hours straight, didn't sleep at all. I ate a bunch of pizza, got a lot of cool swag. I think the project I made was like One Line is what it was called. It was like it like ingested a bunch of news websites and it like spit back like the top headline of the day. It was like your one line of the day kind of thing, right? You know, it was a quick little thing I hacked together. It was a good experience. I just remember having a really good time. Didn't win anything there. I think a year later, I did Hack PSU. So this was Hack Penn State University. At that time, Windows 8 just launched. And Microsoft was sponsoring this event. And they were like, hey, if anyone builds and publishes a Windows 8 app into their app store, you get a $150 gift card. And I was like, yes, sign me up. So I made the strobe light app where if you opened it, it turned your screen white for a millisecond and then turned your screen black for a millisecond. And then it like kind of, you know, just looped it. So, you know, it was pretty chill. I actually got like packaged and published in the app and it was live and anyone could download it, which is really cool. And what's actually like super cool is because like Microsoft was sponsoring it, they had like recruiters at the hackathon and I was able to like network with them and they were like, hey, this guy like can at least get this app published. That actually led to an internship and ultimately a job right out of college. So, you know, talk about this more, but hackathons are a great opportunity to like, kind of meet and network and potentially, you know, find a job. So after Penn State, I, you know, worked at Microsoft. I was there for 7 years, as I said. And at Microsoft, I kind of continued the hackathon kind of spirit, right? So a lot of companies, or Microsoft does this thing called Hack Week, which is very similar. You know, I'm sure you heard of like Google doing the like 20% of your time you can work on a side project kind of thing. So this is like organizations at Microsoft will let their employees spend a week hacking on something. So like I remember I built like a multi-user start menu. So it's like, what if you had a start menu and you had like multiple people logged in and you can show like the apps and files of like a bunch of different people all at once. Yeah, it was an interesting idea. I also built an auto reply bot for email DLs. So at Microsoft, the main platform communication was email, which is like kind of archaic. And in emails, you have these things called distribution lists, which is just like an email that you kind of subscribe to. And anyone who sends an email to the distribution list, it'd be like settings@microsoft.com. Everyone on that list gets it. So every like feature area would have a distribution list. And what would happen is like every day or every week, some new person in the company would be like, hey, I need to do something in this like area. Let me send like the like, how do I do XYZ to this email, to this DL? And then you essentially see like the same questions over and over again. And the thing with emails is like, if you're not on that DL, you don't see the email and it's like just lost to you and you can never find it. There's no like searchability, there's no findability. So I was like, well, like this doesn't make sense. What if we use something like Stack Overflow, some like platform that persisted the information and you can kind of search it. So like the bot listens to the emails, it will like pull out the header and the body, extract keywords, it would search for it on our like internal Stack Overflow and reply back being like, any of these questions seem relevant? Like go ask it here where there's like, you know, some more persistence to it. And then Microsoft also does 1 week. This is like a company-wide event. They do it every November, and it's like the whole company does a hackathon. So you kind of get a lot more kind of cross-org collaboration. So 2 things I did there, this inventory management app for Spud.ca. Spud.ca, you guys might have seen their trucks around here. They're like a food distribution supply chain kind of company, and they needed like an app that like helped them do inventory management. Like, you know, turnips are coming in and they want to tell like count how many and like what temperature they are. So we like, kind of hacked on a web app for them there. And then I remember in 2021, I was like kind of dipping my toes in the Web3 thing. And during 1 week, I was like, hey, you know, like let's do a Web3 thing. So I made NFT badges for LinkedIn. LinkedIn social media profile for work. You have digital badges as like a thing. And I was like, well, like why not tokenize those? So we used like Quorum, which I think was like a enterprise software for like private blockchains. I was like, you know, sort of a private blockchain. It was just like my computer running a single node. And then I was like able to deploy an NFT and like tie that to LinkedIn. And it like kind of, you can verify on LinkedIn that this was like an NFT on a blockchain. So like that was a really cool, cool little project that we did, right? So again, I don't remember if Microsoft did free food. I think it was just like free times to do something different. And, you know, part of hackathon is also like doing something different. So like Windows is great, but working on Spud and NFTs, even greater. After Microsoft, I got into Web3, again, continuing the hackathon kind of trend. I attended ETH Denver Hackathon in 2023 and 2025. I also attended the Axelar Flipside Hackathon 2023. This was a virtual hackathon. I actually won first place here, which is really cool. My project was a cross-chain name service. So we have like ENS on Ethereum, SNS on Solana, and there's even like a couple on Cosmos. And we all know that like in the future, like everyone's going to be cross-chain. It's all going to kind of be abstracted away. And I was like, well, like what if you could mint, manage, and like hold your NFT on any blockchain across EVM and Cosmos? So we built this kind of like management tool, name service on Axelar, which is like this cross-chain messaging platform. We did really well there. We were actually talking to the VCs. We were like getting ready to raise. And our lead investor, this was, remember, like late 2023, they were impacted. Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, and they were impacted by the Silicon Valley Bank. And they're like, sorry guys, not actually interested in doing this at the time. So we kind of shelved that project and moved on. And now, part of like why I'm giving this talk is I'm currently organizing a hackathon for the first time. So the Hyperliquid Community Hackathon, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's my hackathon journey, why I really think this is a cool thing, why I'm passionate about it. So let me kind of talk you about, or show you what's on the agenda for today. I'm going to start by going over, or having an overview of what are hackathons. I'll kind of tell you what you need to know as a participant, what you need to know as an organizer, and then at the very end, kind of, show you guys the Hyperliquid Community Hackathon. So, overview of hackathons. So why hackathons? Now, here's my like kind of emotional appeal as to why this is something you guys should care about, right? So, I think hackathons are an incredible opportunity. You can step away from your day-to-day routine and enter this like high-energy, fast-paced, exciting environment. You get to try new technologies. You get to learn about new ecosystems. You can meet and network with really cool people. And you can create something really, really cool without having to worry about like product market fit and like all these like things that make a product like actually revenue generating. Hackathons are naturally time boxed. So that means they have like a clear start and end date, which is fantastic for like someone who doesn't want to just like continuously let this project run on forever. And it's one of the few spaces where you're actually rewarded for like experimenting wildly and just like building cool stuff. Furthermore, you'll often be treated to like free food, you get free swag, and a bunch of like sponsor perks, all while competing for a bunch of cash prizes. You can gain recognition and even turn like an idea that you have into a real startup. So if you're a student, or if you're looking for a job, or you're just looking to accelerate or pivot your career, highly recommend hackathons. It's a great launch pad, new opportunity. So to summarize, why hackathons? Well, companies are paying you to learn. Love that. It's a great opportunity to meet other cool builders, real builders. You can win prizes, often cash money, but also like other perks and stuff. You can turn ideas into startups. Great revenue, great kind of platform for that. And there's zero risk really, like other than just the time that you spend there, which is again time boxed, which I think is really important. There's no like, oh, if you win, you don't have to give up equity. You don't have to like pay money to do it. Often you're kind of paid to do it. So really good opportunity for hackathons. So what is a hackathon? Well, hackathon is a portmanteau of hack, which means like to build something together really quick, and marathon, which is like this race that's like long and continuous. So it's like a long continuous race competition to build something, really quickly. Hackathon. Again, as I said, time-boxed event. I think this is super important. And it's just like you go there for a set amount of time and you just build something really fast. You can participate in hackathons either solo by yourself or in teams. You can do them online or in person. And they're, part collaborative, part competitive, and overall just a lot of fun. I also want to say that you don't have to be a developer. So hackathons really are for everyone. If you're, a creative, if you're good with words, good at doing pitches, good at thinking about user experiences, good at making PowerPoints, like I think if you have time and energy to contribute, there's a team out there, there's a project out there that would be happy to have you, and you can do that at a hackathon. So types of hackathons. There's kind of 4 categories of hackathons when I think about them. So the first is university. Demographic is mainly students, usually undergrad students. Boilermake, Hack PSU, those are the ones that I kind of talked about in my journey. And there tends to be, high energy. It's a bunch of like kids on caffeine, a lot of swag, and they like tends to be like mini career fairs. Like a lot of companies sponsor these hackathons so you can like hire straight out of university. There's corporate hackathons. So these are for like internal company employees. Hack Week is the example that I give. A lot of tech companies do these kinds of things. So they're really focused on like building internal tooling and building company culture. Then there's like public in-person hackathons. These are for like the local participant at some like geographic location. ETH Global has a bunch of like in-person hackathons around the world. ETH Denver is a big one. I know Solana, Hacker House, like Solana does a couple of these things. Put up a house somewhere, people come and hack on Solana. These in-person hackathons tends to be ecosystem specific. You're building on like a specific chain, Solana, for example. They tend to be larger prize pools, and they're really, really good networking opportunities. And the fourth one, virtuals. There's hackathons that happen online. They're global, anyone can join. You just need internet access. You can find them on platforms like DoraHacks, DevFolio, Taikai. They host hackathons around every day around the year. They tend to be a bit more flexible about like what you can build. They have longer timelines because it's online, but they can be more competitive, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So if you attend a hackathon, whether it's virtual or in person, they all kind of have like the same structure, right? Starts with the registration open. So like on some day, registration opens, you come in and you apply as like a participant. You can start like figuring out your team and stuff. So step 2, team formation. Figure out teams, figure out your projects, and then you're in your build phase. So this could be the 24, 72, up to a couple weeks of just building. And then the submission deadline. There's some day where like all of this ends, all hacking stops, and you submit your project. There'll be a period for judging, and then the winners are announced and prizes are rewarded. Pretty straightforward. So that's kind of overview of a hackathon. Let's kind of look at what you need to know as a participant if you want to get involved. So as a participant, I think it's important that you be deliberate with what you're trying to get out of it. Hackathons are these great opportunities. You can do a lot of things, but it can also be a lot if you kind of get lost in the chaos. So I kind of broke it down to like kind of 3 different mindsets that you can kind of think about. So potentially your goal is to learn. If you're learning, then meet with the mentors that are there. Talk to other builders, talk to other projects, attend the workshops. You can actually join multiple teams if the hackathon allows. You get like a breadth of experience. And it lets you, try something new, try a new technology or a new framework or a new tool or whatever. Second category is if you want to win, if you're just there to actually win in a hackathon. In this case, I recommend using familiar frameworks and tools. You don't want to spend time like ramping up on new tech if you're just trying to win. Just like use what you're comfortable with, build fast, build well. Be strategic with tracks and bounties. So like know where the money is, and then like build your project targeting those bounties and those tracks. And kind of in the same line, focus on the demo. So when you submit your project, you tend to submit a demo with it, along with like your code and whatever other assets you have. And the demo, as a judge, like it's probably the majority of what the judges will review and what they see. So make sure that all the time and energy you put into this project is around improving the demo, making it as polished as you can, so you can submit that and the judge loves it. Do a good job. Know the rules. Make sure that like what the expectation is, what the times are, what the deadlines are, all that kind of stuff. And then know your competition. So ideally, in the perfect world at a hackathon, all the participants start on day 1 with like an idea. You start building from scratch, and it's all like, from scratch, and they're all hacking, and 72 hours later, they all have this like demo product, and they submit it. Great. However, in reality, some people or teams actually use hackathons as like income. So what they'll do is they'll have like a existing, like portfolio of like components or like projects or even like full products. And what they do is they just like fork the product and then like rebrand it for this hackathon. So if you're like an individual trying to like hack together this novel idea and this like other team already has like a full featured product, like you're probably not going to win. So like be aware of that. And then kind of in a similar vein, a lot of companies or startups will kind of soft launch at a hackathon. So they might have a project, they've been working on it for like 3 months, 6 months. They're ready to like go to market. They're ready to release this. And then what they'll be like, hey, like we could just submit this as part of a hackathon. We'll get some free money and like a lot of visibility to like launch it, right? So like make sure you know if you're trying to win a hackathon, make sure you know what your competition is. Make sure you're not trying to compete against another company self-launching or some people kind of really farming this, and kind of be strategic with what you're kind of going after. Last kind of mindset or goal is just free stuff. And again, no shame. This is how I started, kid loving free food. If you want to just get free stuff, which hackathons are a great opportunity for, one, know the schedule. Know when they're going to serve lunch and serve dinner. You want to be there first in line because the lines get really, really long. Be there early, get your food, have a good time. Second, talk to sponsors for free stuff. Again, like especially in person and even online events, these sponsors are often giving like perks and stuff. Go talk to them, do a little bit of like schmoozing and networking, get the free stuff, and then once you've eaten and once you've gotten free stuff, you actually don't you can just leave, right? So like hackathons are like totally voluntary. You often don't pay to be there. Like no one's holding you. You're an adult, so just like go do something else with your time. Again, super valid. Again, from an organizer perspective, you are an attendee. You join. Like they got you as like a head count there. So everyone wins there. It's part of the game. So now that you've kind of like you want to do this hackathon, you kind of have an idea of what you want to get out of it. Let's say you want to do a project. The question is, do you do it by yourself or on a team? If you do it by yourself, you're a solo hacker. It's great. You can move really quickly. You're really focused. You know what you want to build. The downside is like the project is probably just smaller in scale than if you work on a team, just because you're one person and your time is limited. If you want to work on a team, well, great. You can get more stuff done. You can get a bigger project done. Be aware that communication and coordination becomes a lot more important, making sure like you're actually making progress rather than just going around in circles. If you do a team with like friends or like people you worked with before, already have trust, already have synergy, pretty easy to coordinate that. However, you may often find yourself kind of staying in your comfort zone. So if your goal is to learn, you might not be able to do the like crazy, different things that you may have wanted. You can also do a team with strangers where you get like a bunch of fresh ideas, a bunch of diverse skill set, and it can be very chaotic, but in like the best way possible. Pro tip, you can use matchmaking tools. So a lot of hackathons have this like matchmaking process or feature where you as an individual, you can come in and say like, I'm looking for a team, and you can find other builders or find other projects. And this is honestly a great way to kind of just like form a little team. You guys ideate on a project and get going. Again, it's a hackathon. It's time boxed. It all ends in like 3 days. So like if you don't like the guy or like whatever happens, like again, no risk. You can just walk away and everything's okay. So if you just were doing one hackathon, I think you're pretty set. You have an idea what you want to do. You kind of know how you're gonna approach the hackathon. But if you want to do hackathons kind of recurring, there's a couple kind of long-term strategies that I've seen. So again, the first one, simplest swag farming. You just go to these things and get free stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, it can be very fulfilling, both in your stomach and in your suitcase. So, no shame in that. If you do a lot of hackathons, you can start building your reputation. You can start having a portfolio of projects you've done in the past. Start showing better demos and like building this deeper network of people. So this is a really good place to kind of show the world that like, hey, I've built XYZ. I can really deliver and execute on these things. And you kind of start building like this reputation as a builder. And then if you have a good reputation as a builder, you can actually launch that into like a travel circuit. So a lot of hackathons happen kind of around the world or like throughout the year. A lot of hackathons will like sponsor good builders. They'll cover travel, they'll cover lodging, they'll cover food for you to go there. So like I know at ETH Denver, remember there was like Nil and another blockchain was like, hey, apply for our hacker house. You kind of like are expected to like be there most of your time during Denver, but you get free lodging. They may or may not have covered your flight there. You get free food and swag, and there's like come and build. So if you have the experience, you can essentially travel the world while building cool stuff. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Launchpad for startups and careers. So again, hackathons are a great place to take your idea into like an actual startup or company. A lot of VCs, a lot of funding, even just the prize money can be pretty significant. So great opportunity there. And if you network with the sponsors around there, it's also a good opportunity to find a job, which is like how I got into Microsoft. Then lastly, cheap access to major events. So a lot of hackathons are usually co-located with like top tier conferences. So think ETH Denver, think ETHCC, think Web Summit. So a lot of these conferences will actually give you reduced or even free tickets if you go as a hacker. So it's a good way to kind of get into a conference without paying too much for the, without paying the GA price. So some pro tips. As a participant, again, know why you're there, be deliberate with your time and your energy. If you're doing a project, make sure you scope realistically. You only have a certain amount of time. Make sure that you like plan for that and you don't like end up with a half-functioning product. Don't overcomplicate the tech. Again, this is a hackathon. It's not meant to scale. It's not meant to be the most secure or the most polished. It's just meant to like be a proof of concept. So keep it simple. Know the rules and bounty requirements. Again, if you're trying to win, know what the expectations are so that you can really build towards that. Kind of in that same vein, build around the demo. When you submit your project, you're submitting a demo, and that's what judges are going to look at. So make sure that all the time and energy that you spend building this project is around making that demo as polished as possible. Submit something always, even if like things don't really go as well as you wanted, you get blocked or whatever. It's good to just get something out there. At the very least, you can add it to your portfolio and say that you attended and you have like proof of that in some way. And like, who knows, you might be surprised. Maybe a judge liked and saw what you were trying to do and you get a little bit of a bounty. It would be cool. Last thing, get some sleep. If you're like in college and you're like ready to like hustle 72 hours, that's great. But like as you get older, just be aware that like your productivity decreases a lot. Your like health kind of can get really bad, especially if you're just eating pizza and like not sleeping. So again, take care of yourself. Make sure this is sustainable. Yeah. So let's just kind of take a quick look at a hackathon website. So this is Taikai. Again, Dora Hacks, Dev Post. There's a bunch of like platforms out there. This is just one of them where you can find virtual hackathons. And this is actually where we're hosting our Hyperliquid Community Hackathon, FYI. So in here, you can kind of create an account and you can kind of scroll through and see all of the hackathons that are actively going on. So right now, you can integrate Civic Auth. There's a $2,000 prize pool, $8,000 prize pool for Panama Hackathon. You can build the future for 18,000 euros, and a bunch of cool stuff. So we kind of click into this one. This one seems cool. Crypto Cities Hackathon, right? So you kind of see the overview here, right? Build the next gen tech adopted by network states. Oh, very ambitious. You can see the date here, June 14th to 26th. This is what, like a week and a bit more hackathon, week and a half hackathon. Hybrid format. So you can see kind of the information there. Price pool of $20,000, $10,000 optimism, $10,000 and whatever this city credit is. Here's the tracks and the themes. This is like kind of like what people want to see built, the categories. Here's like the participation requirements, right? These are all kind of the rules and the like requirements that you kind of want to get familiar with. Kind of jump over to the timeline, kind of see, so like any hackathon, there's a registration period where you register. Hackathon starts, you build on the 14th, and on the 26th, there's a deadline. Everything gets submitted. Then there is a pitch, I guess, voting session, a judging session, another judging session, and then demo, winners announced, end of hackathon. One goes home happy. Here again, prizes, $6,000 grand prize. Category prizes. So again, like if you're really trying to like maximize a winning, you can kind of look at projects, see what other projects there are. Be like, hey, like, does it make sense for me to go with the grand prize or maybe one of these like kind of secondary tracks and just kind of see what like where you think you can fit in best. Do they have matchmaking here? They don't. And then some of these on Taikai, there's this matchmaking thing where like if you don't have a project, you can go and like put yourself up saying, I have these skills. Who wants to hire me or work with me? And if you're a project, you can like put openings for other people. So, this is just one platform you can look at. Pretty cool, pretty simple. It's online. You just make an account, and you apply, and then you can potentially win some really cool stuff. So that's it for the like what's known as a participant. Take a pause here. Any questions? Any questions about I want to do a hackathon? All right, did a good job then. Go to the second section. So let's kind of like look behind the curtain now, see what does it mean to organize a hackathon. So from an organizer's perspective, kind of three main reasons why you would want to do a hackathon. First one is you just want to grow your ecosystem. By hosting a hackathon, you can attract top talent, you can get real usage on your tech, and you can get feedback on everything. So it's a good opportunity to kind of get some real usage there. Second, a hackathon is this like big event. There's a big prize pool. You're like shopping this around on socials. Everyone's looking at it. So it's a great marketing opportunity. It's a great opportunity to kind of promote your brand, your community, your ecosystem, and the sponsors if you have them. And then the third one is you can encourage specific integrations or projects to be built, right? If you're like, I'm this like SDK and I want someone to build this thing, like what better way than just putting up a prize pool and say, hey, win some money if you build this thing. So that's another great reason. If you're running a hackathon, these are kind of the general steps you would do. First, you would choose a platform. Taikai was one of them, Dora Hacks, or DIY if you have the resources. You would then define the tracks, the rules, the details around like when does it start, when does it end, what's the structure, blah, blah, blah. Then once you have that, you can go and recruit sponsors optionally if you want help with the prize pool. So you can be like, hey, sponsor, give me some money and I'll attach your name to the hackathon and give you some visibility. Maybe they get a booth if it's in person. Maybe it's like a tweet if it's virtual. And then you have like a prize pool. And then you just kind of like promote the hackathon to builders, run the event. At some point, submission ends, and then you just do judging, prize distribution, and then you celebrate the winners, and congratulations. Let's talk about choosing a platform. So when you choose a platform like Taikai, like Dora Hacks, what they do is they help offload some of the logistics around it. So they all do event hosting. This is like a website where people can find out about your hackathon. Host your website. They host your event. They do participant registration. They do project submissions. They do judge assignments. So like when you have 1,000 projects, you can assign projects to certain judges and be able to do scoring and voting and find the final tally. And then some of them actually just prize distribute. So in many jurisdictions, hackathon winnings are taxable income. So you need to report it. You should report it. So as an organizer, there's kind of two sides. One is that if you're getting money from a sponsor, they might want an invoice from like a legal entity so they can like do their accounting. Similarly, when you go and give prizes to a winner, the winner might want to report that on their taxes, so they want some tax from you. So if you want to do that, then make sure you have all the like legal entity set up. Some platforms actually do this for you, which is a great kind of like offloading of that responsibility. As part of our Hyperloop Community Hackathon, we researched 4 platforms. DevFolio was the cheapest, $2,500 per event. They were the only one that I found that does prize distribution. They actually will custody your money, your crypto, and be able to distribute and do all the accounting, which is really cool. However, they don't do matchmaking, and that was a feature that we really wanted, so we ended up not going with them. Second cheapest, and the option we chose was Taikai. 2,200 euros a month. You can have as long or as short as you want. You just pay monthly or pro rata. They do matchmaking, and I was like, yeah, we like that. So that's what we're doing. DevPost is another one, $10,000 per event. Great option if you want to do that. And then Dora Hacks, they have an interesting kind of pricing model. So you pay $20,000 for a yearly subscription. During that year, you can host as many hackathons as you want. So if you like want to host 100 hackathons, you can kind of really get a good ROI from that. So here's some platforms. And now some pro tips, just like as someone who's kind of in the middle of this process, right? So when you're hosting a hackathon, you want to think about sponsor visibility if you have them, right? Sponsors are essentially giving you money so they can get some brand awareness. So make sure that you're making the sponsors happy so they're willing and wanting to do this again in the future. Sponsors tiers and minimums. A lot of hackathons have kind of these like packages. So if you sponsor this amount of money, you get this package of like marketing and access and stuff. Sponsor this much money, you get a higher package of stuff. You kind of want to make those kind of like incentivize those and make all those kind of options great. You can kind of get the most money from them. Accounting I kind of talked about, taxes, all that stuff, yada yada. Prize assets. So in crypto, since we're kind of in that industry, you can give prizes in like, optimism token or whatever token, be aware that like maybe it's $10,000 at the start, and because it's volatile, it might like 10x or go to 0. So like that might be okay, it might not be okay, but just something to kind of think about when you're figuring out what kind of assets you want to award. And then lastly is like reaching out to builders. So like, sponsors and hosting the hackathon is great, but ultimately you want to get good talent, good builders. So making sure that you have a good strategy around finding, blockchain clubs and dev communities and like where builders are so that they are aware of your hackathon and they'll actually participate and you'll get what you want. So that's the end of the organizer part. Questions, comments? If not, goes to my last slide. So that was kind of the educational, all about hackathons. Hope you guys learned a lot. If you're interested, Hyperliquid Community Hackathon. This event is happening. I'm one of the organizers. Shout out to Toast, Steffi, Christian, Oliver, and Zerk as the other organizers of this event. This is a virtual hackathon. Registration opens on the 28th of July. It will run for 4 weeks. And then winners will be announced around the 29th. We have a prize pool of $210,000 that's going up every day. Thanks to all of these sponsors, all very Hyperliquid aligned, all very generous with their contributions. In our hackathon, the theme is growing the Hyperliquid ecosystem. So we have kind of 3 main tracks. First one is public goods. So these are just tools, libraries, anything that's kind of open and free and composable and reusable, kind of just like public goods for the ecosystem. The second is called Hyperliquid Frontier. These are novel applications or projects that kind of extend on existing protocols, things that really push the frontier of what's possible on Hyperliquid. The third one is precompile and core writer exploration. So Hyperliquid recently just launched on mainnet their precompiles and their core writer. So this lets you interact between EVM and core. So we have a whole track kind of dedicated to letting people kind of experiment and see what is possible with this new tech, what's possible on Hyperliquid. There'll be a bunch of sponsor bounties that will be coming out soon. So if you want to learn more, follow us on Twitter, HL_hackathon, and come be part of the fun. That's it. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Wicked. Thank you, Andrew. Anybody have questions, comments, concerns, ideas?
Stories that they want to share.
Yeah. We got Ethan in the back.
What should we build to win?
So if you want to win, right? The theme is growing the ecosystem. Public goods are definitely like the thing to do. These are like normally not super sexy because it's like, oh, how do I make money from it? Well, like the prize pool is the money, right? And then I said before, like look at the bounties, right? See the bounties, see what kind of like mini prize pools these sponsors give, and try and like, there's this thing called like bounty farming. Let's say there's like 20 bounties up there. You can kind of hit multiples of them. Build this project that like uses this API and uses this API and does this thing and does this thing. So you kind of get a good breadth of it. And then you just kind of like broaden your reach. And again, when we go live on Taikai, there's a projects tab. You'll be able to see what other projects are kind of listed and what else everyone else is doing. So maybe you can kind of look for, hey, what like missing areas? If everyone's trying to build a DEX, maybe don't build another DEX. Maybe go work on some other thing that that's pretty good. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Quick question. Is it possible for participants to to do multiple projects? So for example, they want to do public goods and they want to work on a DEX and they want to work on something else. Can you do multiple projects at the same time?
Yes, for this one, I think the plan is that we're going to let participants be in multiple projects. So yes, you can, and that's a great way to learn. If you want to like get your hands dirty in some DeFi stuff and some NFT stuff and some tooling, and you're like a really good, designer, like offer your services across all these different projects and just kind of work a little bit on everything. Question in the back.
Hey, just wondering, is this day like a can use AI as a tool to do the hackathon?
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're using AI at least in some capacity. If you're
Yeah.
just like raw in code, like
Yeah, for
Get
example,
with
I'm a
it.
designer. Like, if I join a hackathon, I have zero idea about how to code.
yeah,
So I need to find, if I join a hackathon, I need to learn.
Yeah.
But at least they have AI, I can just try to code.
Yeah.
Which means
They-
I'm not sure it's how or
yeah. I mean, we're not gonna have any rules against using AI. I don't even know how you like really check for that. Again, I think if you can find a teammate, we have the matchmaking feature, so you can like be like, hey, I have this cool idea. I'm a designer. I'm looking for a developer. That might be a really good opportunity. But if you just want to like vibe code it with AI, ultimately, when you submit the project, it's like a demo, and like your like code and your Figma or whatever. The demo is going to be like the main thing that you get judged on. So as long as that demo looks really good, looks compelling, the judges love it, then yeah, you'll be in a good position to potentially win some money.
thank you.
Anyone else? Hackathons coming up in the year. I think Token 2024, they might have a hackathon. Oh, blockchain. If anyone's going to be in Korea at the end of September, Korea Blockchain Week is also hosting a Hyperliquid hackathon. It's hosted by Imperator, HyperPC. This is an in-person event. So if you happen to be in Korea around the end of September, another great opportunity to take whatever you built, wherever you learned at this one, to kind of, launch it into that next hackathon. So, and again, keep an eye out. When I went to ETH Denver, a big part I do the hackathons, like you get a free ticket as a hacker. So like good opportunity to kind of do that. So don't sleep on the perks.
And
of
you think
doing
like the
hackathons.
hackers at in Denver, like they got a way better snack and food selection and drinks and everything. I feel like I've been in an area where I wasn't supposed to be, and I was actually getting like some really interesting, like some,
I
you know,
didn't-
like it was like, oh, you
like
need to
this
have your
past
hacker
year.
badge. You know,
Like
you
this-
had to have the hacker badge.
like
and
this
then-
past year,
yeah.
was there like warm food?
I don't know. It was just it seemed like there was
They
like
just had a
better
little
things.
gazebo.
Yeah, little gazebo
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But like they didn't have. There was like things there
That's true. Yes,
that they didn't have elsewhere.
that's true.
I was
That's
like,
true. So there were like snacks. In 2023 they had hot food. They actually brought in
Whoa.
hot food, and that was fantastic. I didn't see that this year, so I was a little disappointed. But yeah, I mean, again,
We were in like the bowels of the bear market at that point. Everybody was sad and depressed. But next year, boom, here we go.
That's
There'll
true,
be
that's true.
Lots
Yeah.
of hot food.
yeah, exactly. So again, there was free food. It wasn't quite as warm as I'd hoped, but yeah, again, good opportunity. Make sure you kind of take the resource, have it.
All right.
Awesome. Well, if that's everything, then we'll call it good.
Perfect. Okay, thanks everybody for coming out.
Yeah.
Another round of applause here for Andrew. And yeah, if you don't mind, just fold up your chairs afterwards. And yeah, for those if you haven't joined, make sure you join the socials and the Discord and everything. And yeah, feel free to hang out for a bit. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye bye.